Okay, so this is the final part of the second module on qualities of great leaders. And this is a presentation that's probably going to take you in a sporting context, really. But hopefully you can see through the context I'm talking about, and you can see how this can apply to any leader in any workplace, particularly in creating belief in the people that you lead. So the great leaders have a great ability to build belief in the people that they're leading, and it's not done by accident. And there's a method you can do it, and I think it's really important you understand how to go about doing it. Certainly, when I came to the club I'm at now, there was a very strong group of players, very ambitious, but probably a lack of belief that we really could go on and compete at the highest level. So my first challenge really was to obviously build my credibility and coach well, lead well, manage well, but also build belief in the team. So I very much saw it as my responsibility to build this belief, and I took examples of their training habits. I showed them why, as a team, over the years, they've been successful at the top competitions. I showed the quality that was in the room and made them understand that people from the outside genuinely feared them as a team. And perhaps it took someone like me to come in from the outside to tell them how good they can be. Certainly, I always thought they were a great team, and I think by coming in and just telling them they're a great team and reinforcing that to the individual players, belief has gradually grown through the course of my time there. And I think probably the most important meeting I gave was one where I talked about the belief of winning the big European competitions. And the club I'm at have done it 3 times so far, which is a fantastic record. But I think it can be done more than that. And I think this team has the capability of winning it again and again. And so I wanted to paint a picture for the future of the team, and I did that through a presentation with images, and I described in graphic detail what it would feel like and what it would look like when we go on to future success as a group. So it was a combination in the presentation or in the talk of giving them the reasons why I felt they could be strong, why they could be winners, and then what that would look like in the future. Because if you've got people in your team who are competitive and winners, if you give them belief, it makes them relentless, and they strive to achieve the goal that you set them. And I think the goal should be a stretch goal. Don't be afraid to make it realistically tough, but make it realistic. And I think from my point of view, striving to achieve the European Cup is a realistic goal for this group of players that I'm working with, and painting a picture of what it look and feel like has definitely changed the mindset of them as a group. Because the bottom line is, you're not going to win any competition. You're not going to win any environment where you're competing against another team or another individual or another company, another organisation, unless you believe you can do it. Unless you believe you can do it, and unless you create that belief in those people who are working for you. And that is certainly true in sport, certainly more so than anything. So this is where it comes in a rugby context, but I'm sure you'll get the point if you translate this to business. Under pressure, you don't rise to the occasion. We rise or fall to our level of training. So when you play in the big games in Europe or in the league competition, we don't just get up for the big games. Our performances are underpinned by the work we do day in, day out, week in, week out. So we rise or fall to our level of training. And if our training and our habits are poor, then our game will be poor. We might rise once or twice, but over the course of time, we will adopt the standards that's set by the training habits. If we set the habits and the practice in training at with high intensity, high tempo, good fault correction, a good ambition to want to grow and improve, then you'll find when the big moments come in big games, on big moments in leadership teams, then they'll deliver. And then within that, your competitors, the people, the high achievers within your team, they will push harder to get better, and they will pull along the people who are sat beneath them, and you'll create this chain reaction of leadership growth and competitiveness. So this is, again, more detail about how you go about building belief in a team. Top players and teams create a belief that wins matches before they walk on the field, and you can see an aura. Sometimes maybe the All Blacks in rugby, the top tennis players, Djokovic or Nadal, or Federer or Murray, how they have this presence almost that they've defeated the opponent before they've even got on the court. The best way to counter a reputation is to build your own. Once you've created your own reputation, the impact it can have on your belief and the impact it has on taking away the opposition belief is vast. So you've got to create a reputation of high habits, of great habits, and build a reputation around points of difference. So you have to have points of difference as a team. And in rugby context, there are lots of different ways you can win or lose a game, and lots of different ways that you can have a point of difference. And I would give the players 2 points of difference, one in defence and one in attack, where I feel we can get an edge on the opposition. Get the players to believe in those points of difference, or get the people in your organisation to believe what makes you different as an organisation, and drive everything through those points of difference. Build our game plan around points of difference that will hurt opponents. Champion teams are remembered for their points of difference. Champion teams have a history of backing themselves in the moment. So don't try and create an organisation that covers all the bases. Drive your organisation through your own points of difference that you feel set you apart from your competitors, and then back yourselves in the moment. Many teams hope to be successful. This hope is undermined by the fact that deep down they know they're not working hard enough, and this causes them to hand over belief to those who are. So fundamentally, I make training tough. Training is tough day in, day out, week in, week out, and that ultimately is going to drive. And my training is all about geared towards driving those points of difference, and the one in attack and the one in defence. We know that we've done the work. So when we come against the good teams, and we know that we've done the work on the training field, and the players feel confident and ready. And ultimately, in sport particularly, you can't control the result. And often I say to the players before we start a big game, say, listen, we can't control all elements of the game, but we control the intent that we want to play the game. And our intent is to play an aggressive attacking game with aggressive attacking defence, and build it around our points of difference. And the players buy into that. And when you see that come to fruition as a coach or as a leader, there's nothing more satisfying. Play our game with intent from the start. Use our points of difference and make statements early. The rewards will come later in the match due to the consistent commitment to our game. You never know when the cracks will appear due to cumulative pressure. And again, put this in a business context. It's about just being relentless and building belief in your team and making sure they believe they can achieve the goal that you've set them through the habits that you've put in day out within the organisation. Teams who develop great belief use the momentum of positive results to work hard to galvanise their attitude. So the belief is built on substance and not spin. So you can tangibly see outcomes and results, and then you use those results to reinforce the points of difference that you got and the way in which you're trained and the way in which you're working, which delivers the performance. True self-belief develops over time when it becomes obvious why you are winning. It is born with a great intent to defeat your opponents with your weapons, with the knowledge you can consistently rely on them because you know you've done the work. So it's not worrying about the opposition's weapons, it's building on your weapons, building on your super strengths, your points of difference. And then they start to worry about your points of difference. As it says here, when this happens, your opponent begins to worry about the commitment behind the weapons you use and think about their own weaknesses. And the belief is taken away from them and it's transferred through to you, and that's why you win. So I hope you enjoyed that. There's a lot in that module and a lot for you to think about. I've enjoyed trying to pass on my knowledge in this particular area, and we're going to go on to module 3 next, which is a lot more about individual competencies of great leadership. So what personal attributes do you need in terms of emotional intelligence and leadership styles that you can use to get the best out of people. So there's a lot to come, and it's all good stuff. So please stay tuned in.